I know it's old-fashioned, but I don't have a cell phone. So when my landline cut out, we just felt so isolated.
The power was down on the entire block. It was a Saturday, so the kids were home. Hey.
I wouldn't say that I'm addicted, but when I lost my cable and internet, I was paralyzed.
You have no idea what they put me through.
And all because my neighbors didn't call 811. Did they, honey?
For more information, visit www.call811.com.
Oh no, not again.
What is that?
You like that? You haven't seen this? This is a committee of the whole opening.
Well, how often do we?
When would we see it?
Okay, today is Tuesday, February 27th, 2004. This is the committee of 2024. This is committee of the whole meeting. Today we're having a presentation. The village has been working for about a year now, right, ma'am? About a year. We're going to. Trustee Schmidt's been on the panel. Who else been on the panel with you? Trustee Jarrett,
Miller.
Trustee Miller, yeah, and Jerish. We're laying out our new future long-range planning. This is our, long range. And one thing I want to point out to people, because we're going to have an open house on April 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. across the street at the Garden Terrace at the Pavilion. And you're going to see things, say, oh my God, you're building this. These are conceptual ideas, design ideas, and maybe type of use ideas we're thinking about. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. We're thinking about it. So it just gives us a scope of areas we want to focus on and what we want to do. So tonight will be the first unveiling, and I know the board's had a chance to review it. You folks have done a phenomenal job. You've done an absolute phenomenal job with what you've done. I've looked at it many times over, and your vision and thinking a little outside the box is great. That's what we want. And more importantly, you're looking at new way things are being done, and you're incorporating that. And it's hard to plan something maybe 10, 15 years away, but you did a nice job. So Vanderwall and Associates have been the lead agency on this, and we're going to let them take over now, the presentation. So floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. Scott Harrington with Vanderwall and Associates. Very pleased to be here, and really enjoyed getting to know the community and working with the community. We've got a lot to go over, so I'm going to go fairly quickly, save time for questions. If I get too far into auctioneer mode, tell me to kind of slow it down. I just wanted to kind of start real quick with the team. Again, Vanderwall and Associates, we're a firm headquartered in Madison, Wisconsin, also have an office in Milwaukee. We're the lead consultant. We're land use planners, urban design, economic development strategies. So we're leading the project, we're leading the redevelopment sites, and the issues concerning the business park. Also on our team is ERA Engineers. With us tonight is John Mayer. If you have any questions on that, he's working on the corridors along with Gary R. Weber Associates, who I'm sure you're pretty familiar with, and Jeff Cook and Rich Olson are both here from that firm tonight, and you'll hear from Jeff towards the end to talk about the corridors. And then Opportunity Alliance is our other partner firm, been working on the business services part. They are not here tonight. We won't have too much discussion on that tonight. That'll come later in the process. But I can't emphasize enough what a real partnership this has been with your staff, with Maggie and Matt and all your department heads, as well as the steering committee. It's been a great collaborative effort, and so the work that you see here isn't just that of ours. It's been really based on all of that input, and hopefully that will continue throughout the project. As you mentioned, we're about a year into this. Started early last year with existing conditions. That kind of took us through the end of the summer into the early fall. Then we started working on these concept alternatives that we're going to discuss tonight. We're kind of bringing that process to a close with the public meeting that we're going to have in April. And then we'll kind of start to boil that down to some preferred concepts for these sites and for these corridors. Then add some more detail on where some of the funding might come from and how to implement those and prioritize those, ending up in adoption with this group towards the end of the year. So we're right on schedule with what we had anticipated, and I don't see any reason why it won't stay on schedule. Things that we'll cover tonight then primarily are concepts for some of these redevelopment sites, some ideas for corridor improvements, and then I'll give a quick update on what's happening with business services and the business park, and we'll talk just a little bit about the format of the public meeting. So for the redevelopment sites, we're looking at concept alternatives, and so I'll kind of cover real quick some of the objectives for each site, a couple of concepts that meet those objectives, and these would provide direction for future decision making. As the mayor pointed out, these are not given that this is going to happen. Probably the one thing I can guarantee you is it won't look exactly like any of these. These are meant to really be somewhat inspirational, to be guidance, so that as the village talks with property owners, talks with business owners, talks with prospective developers, that you have a place to kind of start those discussions, have some idea about what these sites might be able to evolve into. So with that, I'll kind of jump right in. We have sites A through F, I think, E. Site A here is at Nergi and Devon. Oh, pushed the wrong button, sorry. So here's Nergi coming in from the north and Devon. Right now, kind of a mix of different businesses. I think the village selected this site because there are some vacancies in this area and buildings are starting to kind of show their age and some level of obsolescence. There's still some very viable businesses in here, but the goal was to really look at adding some more mixed use, especially on the corner, maybe some residential at a little higher density because it is bordered on the north by multifamily, and of course we have 290 on the other side, and then a very large church property to the west, and to kind of have more of a visual connection and alignment across the street. This isn't the church, this is the...
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's not church property.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm sorry, it's the other site. This is another commercial center, and we want to kind of establish more of a connection with that. So we got a couple of different ideas for this. So first one leaves Bonaventure Drive where it is, which is slightly north of the entrance into this commercial center. And a little more intensification, some freestanding commercial on the frontage, leaving in this case, the motel in place, and then putting some multifamily in the back. In this next one, starting to intensify this a little bit further and have suggested that maybe Bonaventure could move to the south so that it would align with this center, create more synergy with it. You know, there's a hotel over here that people could feel a little more comfortable walking over to a restaurant or commercial over here, for instance, and having the intersections aligned a little safer from a traffic standpoint. Starting to see more density here, replacing the motel perhaps with some more multifamily, some higher density up here, creating more land for the existing restaurant to expand, and a little more intensive commercial here. And then lastly, in this one, definitely more intensive with mixed use and structured parking here on the corner, maybe a new hotel in this corner, taking advantage of at least the visibility from 290 and multifamily on the north. So 3 different concepts, depending on how the property might be assembled, what properties are in play, when that would occur, and the possibility of relocating Bonaventure. The next site was initially 2 sites, kind of north and south of Biesterfield. So this was Site B and this was Site C. But as we looked at this further and discussed it with the staff, part of the goal here was to really help try to tie these 2 sides of the street together. And obviously there's a lot of very prosperous businesses in this area now, but there's also a lot of area used for surface parking. Well, let's say a lot of area paved for surface parking that isn't necessarily used. So infill could be a way to kind of get things started. So this one is more about a phasing plan, that what might occur over time. Perhaps starting with, let me go down to here, starting with extending this sort of nice kind of plaza that you have going through the city center, where you have this kind of green area, you have your splash pad, you have some nice artwork, and then that kind of goes through this sort of arcade that splits the Mexican restaurant, and maybe continuing all that all the way out to Arlington Heights. So kind of a mixed use plaza area here where you'd have outdoor dining, buildings kind of facing on that space to really enliven it, and with maybe some upper floor residential. That could all be done on the existing parking, wouldn't really put anything out, wouldn't really adversely affect any of the existing businesses. And then over time, we could see maybe some redevelopment on the south end of this center where there are some vacancies, if those don't fill up and the property owner is interested, of maybe doing something a little bit more intensive there, maybe taking advantage too of the large retention area, of maybe putting something on top of that rather than just leaving it open, and perhaps creating more of a north-south spine as well for pedestrian connection. The other thing is just sort of, trying to consolidate the traffic so you don't feel like you're driving through a parking lot. These wouldn't necessarily have to be village-owned streets, but it would have more of a street feel and kind of put the project a bit on a grid. Improving the pedestrian connection across the street, and then looking at mixed-use development over time as sites become available on both sides of the street, and perhaps residential conversion on this west end over time as those spots become available. The idea here is that if we can add some residential, we can really expand the commercial. What we're seeing in today's marketplace is that people want to be somewhere where they can walk and be proximate to businesses. And so the way to build commercial density is to also build residential density. And that's why mixed use is really an important concept in the site that we just saw, this one and the one that we'll see later, is to really have that feeling. Just saw an article in a national publication about Chicago suburbs and more people flowing out to live in apartments and multifamily development within the suburbs. And they still want a lot of that kind of downtown feeling, if you will, where I can kind of walk out my door and walk across the street or down the street to a coffee shop or what have you, but still have access to transit to get downtown when I need to do that. And so you've got such a great community, which you know well better than me, that I think people want to be here, and creating more opportunities for them to do that this will be high in demand. And really being able to kind of create more of a village center here. This also really tracks with a lot of the input that we got from the public when we started this process out with a survey. Moving on to Site D. This is at Arlington and Devon. This is the church. Sorry, these sites sometimes look the same. So again, wanting to introduce mixed use, being more pedestrian friendly, creating some ownership opportunities, so not just rental, and really taking advantage of the proximity of the athletic fields. So a couple of different options here. This kind of more of a medium density, some standalone commercial at the corner, some multifamily kind of in the center, and then surrounded by townhomes or duplexes. So we kind of scale the density back as we move into the single family neighborhood that borders us on the east and on the north. This next one's starting to get more intensive on the south side. Now kind of gone more to a mixed use concept, some structured parking with perhaps 5-story multifamily, again being right across the street from the park, well buffered from the single family, and then maybe some more townhomes, so a few more units, but still pretty light scale that wouldn't really impact the neighbors. Site E is a natural area, so it's more how can we kind of take advantage of this. This is where Salt Creek crosses under Devon, and we're really wanting to improve pedestrian connections in the area and see if we can't open some of this land up for some trails or what have you. I'm going to kind of skip to the second version and then come back because this one has a little more information. What we kind of happening here is, we already have this existing trail. So I think this is the Salt Creek path, comes in from the east and then heads south out of the community, and it's pretty popular. And so getting a connection to that, since your community is north of Devon, how do we kind of connect up with that for our folks to get to it easier? At the same time, there's a planned route down this power line corridor on the north side that then kind of takes a 90 and comes down to Devon. So how do we integrate that as well? And then we won't really talk too much about it tonight, but there's basically village-owned property going all the way up the creek, almost all the way to Arlington. So there's a real opportunity down the road to extend the trail perhaps north and really take advantage of that whole creek corridor. But for right now, just really focusing on this area and how do we get people across Devon to access these trails and tie in these others. So one idea that's shown here is that the bridge over the creek is about at the end of its useful life. It needs to be replaced. And it's basically a box culvert. There really isn't any way to walk under that bridge. It's pretty much all water flowing under it. But if we could lift that bridge and create an opportunity for some paths that would parallel the creek so you could walk under the bridge, then we really would have some interesting things here. This is all floodplain, so all this kind of red color is floodplain. There's a lot of wetlands in here. There'll never be any development, but it's really pretty, and we really could take more advantage of this corridor. So we're showing perhaps a path on the east and on the west, and then tying that back with some trails, either to a sidewalk network on Devon and back to the community fields. Going back to this first alternative is that if we can't raise the bridge, or maybe as an interim thing, depending on how far down the road the bridge is, would be to add some sidewalks on both sides. That definitely will be a challenge on the south side because there's a pretty substantial creek that parallels the road on the south side, so that would have to be addressed. But how can we safely cross if we're going to have a lot of folks living here and want to access the fields? Would be having a ped bridge, much like what you're looking at Arlington and Higgins. So we kind of put that in here as sort of a second alternative rather than having trails under the bridge. We still have this trail up here in the northeast quadrant to kind of tie these trails together and perhaps extending north, and sidewalks on both sides, and then you could cross at this intersection over here. So site F is our last site. Really kind of two pieces to it. One is this, MWRD property that we understand could be available for a long-term lease. And so what do we do with that? And then there's a kind of industrial part to this that's a little bit further to the south. So I'll kind of cover the recreation part first. So friends at Gary Weber had kind of developed this concept. As you know, this is a very tall hill here, and so from that hill you can see planes taking off and landing from O'Hare. You can see the skyline downtown. It's really pretty striking, and so creating a path that would be ADA accessible, kind of getting up to that hill and having an observation, very passive recreation oriented, and then kind of perimeter around of disc golf. And some parking and a little, kind of shelter and things down on this end. On the kind of south leg of this, there's still a pretty decent sized hill, so it could be for sledding. Could see a dog park on one end for large dogs, maybe a small dog park up here. And again, here's the other 9 holes of the disc golf. We also, in this parking lot, have the ability to bring in food trucks. So for folks working in this area, could kind of drive over here, park, and then get food from the food truck and then enjoy it kind of hanging out in the park. On the industrial end of things, so we got Landomir here, we got Higgins, and so a lot of asphalt, old trucking facilities, if those become available, replacing those more with flex buildings or new industrial. We already know there's one proposal for this corner, and really kind of cleaning this up. So visibility, light industrial, improving the appearance, getting setbacks so we can get some landscaping, and probably finish the sidewalk. As you know, in this area, the sidewalk is really discontinuous on both sides of Higgins. So looking at this a little bit more closely, you can actually put in quite a few square feet of buildings. Some of they could be combined from what we're showing here, or kind of separated out. This is just sort of a concept on how they might fit, but there's quite a bit of square footage that could be added there that right now is mostly just paved parking area and storage. So that's a lot to go through with the sites. Jeff will kind of take us through the corridor. We could stop there, or Jeff could do his thing, and then we could come back for questions, whatever you would.
Why don't you keep going?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. My name's Jeff Cook. I'm a senior associate with Gary R. Weber Associates, and I'm part of the Corridors team with Rich and John here this evening. And what I wanted to talk about is just kind of an overview of our approach to the corridors, what we're doing, what we're trying to do. I'm not going to go into every specific proposal that's in the document. You do have that, and I believe it's going to be available on the website at some point, and we'll certainly be showing those at the open house. So when we first got this, we started looking at 10 different corridors in the community. And you all know which ones those are. They're the main roads here: Arlington Heights, Biesterfield, Devon, Bussey, so on and so forth. And we started with the existing conditions. What does the village look like throughout the corridors on these major roads? And you see on the top there, several photos. You've done a fantastic job of beautifying the community, making it a wonderful place. You've got public art. You've done some of the new annual planters on Bussey, the Gateway signage program. Your residential neighborhoods are absolutely stunning with the lighting and the decorative signs and such. You've got things like the clock tower right out here by the library and the pavilion, just beautiful architecture. And we're looking at these corridors trying to say, where can we find places where we can maybe find elements that we can ratchet up and try to meet that same standard of quality on the corridors. And so on the bottom here, we started to take a look at things like some of the fencing that we see along the corridors. You've got a variety of styles, colors, and things of that nature. Can we do anything to potentially bring some consistency to that and give it an improved look? You've got a couple different varieties of lighting throughout the corridors. Are there opportunities we can look at there? Residential neighborhood signs are out there. They're wooden. They're starting to show a little bit of age. So we started to take a look at what we could do with that. And even unique things. You see a picture of a garbage truck and might be wondering, what is this garbage truck about? You see the communication wires there. We all know overhead wires kind of don't look real great along the corridors. In some cases, you might be able to bury them. There's, of course, large costs associated with that. But even with that, the communication wires sometimes sag and can become a problem for vehicle strikes. And if a vehicle strike hits the communication wire and actually damages it, that can upset service to your businesses and residents, and that's a real problem. So even if you're not able to put them in the ground, we're looking at ways, how can you maybe raise those up so you don't have that problem in certain locations. And so, broadly speaking, the document that you have is split up into two different sections. One, which is community-wide enhancements, and those are the things that you're going to see generally consistent throughout the community upon full completion of them. Gateway signage, which is largely complete. The crosswalk standard, that's kind of evolved over time and seemingly landed where we're at in this photograph. Bus shelters, which clearly are more in the industrial area, but it's not limited to a specific corridor. And is there anything that we can do with some of the utility boxes that are a part of every built environment, but can we improve their appearance if they're going to have to be there anyway? Then the alternative is on the corridor-specific enhancements, and that's more dependent upon the use. So you're probably not going to want to treat a residential corridor the same way that you might do in an industrial area. They're different kinds of areas. They look different. They feel different. And so we wanted to look at what would be the appropriate treatments there. And so some of the photographs we're showing here, there's the fence again, some of the different style lights, the residential sign, and then there's a photograph of the median. Are there things that we can do with the medians to sort of, again, ratchet it up to fit that quality that we talked about earlier and showed earlier? And so as Scott mentioned earlier with our process, we're right here kind of near the end of phase 3 where we've been developing these concepts. Some are still in process. But in your document, you'll see a lot of images similar to what's up on the screen here. This happens to be for medians. You have a plan view that kind of looks down, bird's eye view down at what the median might be with some annual planters and plantings and uplighting of the trees. And then to the right, you have an elevation view, so looking at the same median from the side. And then, of course, there's a 3D rendering that tries to give it some extra dimension perspective to show what that median is. And so throughout the document, you have this for intersections, you have this for bus shelters, parkways, medians, you name it. There's a whole great deal of different options and examples of what can be done. And so rather than go through every single one, I wanted to focus kind of on our approach and a high level of what is in there. And some of the major things we wanted to build upon was the community branding opportunities. At the top, you see some of what you've done with the annual planters on Bussey, as well as the public art right out front here. And to the side, you see some different design concepts to replace the residential neighborhood sign. This is an example of something that's still in process. There's 5 different options right there. And they can, right now, some of them say the exceptional community, some of them don't. They could say something else, they could say nothing. That's all a process that's still in play, and we're working to hone that down as a possible update to those signs. In the lower left is kind of a unique item and one that we would propose to use sparingly. But in high traffic areas where you might have pedestrians or cyclists, you could use a bronze or cast iron logo that gets embedded into the concrete, either at the intersection or whatever that key location might be that's highly trafficked, just to give that extra level of quality. It may even be in an intersection where you share a border with a neighboring town that has that type of presumably pedestrian and cyclist activity. And then likewise with bus shelters, we got some data from PACE, and we were looking at what are the bus shelters that are more highly utilized than others, and you may consider updating those, giving it a fresh look, a more modernized look. And this particular shelter also has the option of using either a customized decal or even like an etched polycarbonate glass, if you will, where it could be a logo, it could be something where people who are waiting to leave from the bus stop or arriving in Elk Grove can know that that is where they are. Another key component that drove our design process was the concept to unify and beautify the corridors. And I think we all understand the value of trees and plants and annuals and perennials and what landscaping contributes to the environment, but some of the things that I've shown on the picture might not be as obvious to people. Right there is an example of what a simulated stone fence being used in common along a corridor could look like. Really adds a different level of appearance. It brings consistency, it brings quality, and it allows for potentially common maintenance as well. Kind of a unique thing to do. It's not unheard of to be done, so we're exploring that. Likewise, we spent a fair amount of time looking at the options to create a new standard for street lighting. And you see here a combination of parts that were assembled and even designed for the village with the head nod to your existing residential lamps. So those can come with banners, they can come without banners, you can use the pedestrian lamp or not, depending on where you're at. They all have a breakaway base, so whether the road is IDOT, Cook County, or village, it can be utilized in those corridors without running into permitting problems. Another unique one, communities around the country are developing public art programs where they actually wrap their utility boxes with vinyl ornamentation. And that can range from a solid color to a full photographic application to very abstract art. It's a really unique thing, and it's a pretty exciting opportunity, although a limited one because it depends on who owns the box and whether or not, what's in the box and whether or not they'll allow you to do it, so on and so forth. We talked about the wires, possibly raising those up so they're not a hazard, and where you can't create a vinyl wrapping of the box, we're looking at ways that you could add some additional landscape screening. And then lastly, just once you have all of these pieces together, how can we bring it together and add some additional accents? And we've been focusing on lighting and color, which can be brought into the fold with putting planters at your intersections, uplighting your median landscape trees. and even different bollards that allow for the introduction of color and lighting. So that's kind of the approach in a nutshell that went into the document that you have before you this evening. And with that, I'll turn it back to Scott for some closing comments.
Thanks, Jeff. Just to wrap up here, real quick on business services and business enhancement. So business services, been working with your staff to, especially with the change in economic development person, to kind of create sort of a work plan for her on where do we go. You guys have a lot of stuff with websites and events and other things, and how do we kind of streamline that and really make the most of those? So that's making really good progress. Should have kind of a complete report for that here in the next month. So I'm sure that'll be brought forward. And then business park enhancement, focusing primarily on the utility issues, the power lines again, and trying to avoid conflicts with trucks. And then also looking at options on how to improve the appearance of the rail and what to do with that. So those are just kind of two quick updates, not much else really to report at this point, but there'll be things coming forward on that. Public meeting real quick, just one is, we've already created a website for the project, so all this information is available up there, including all of our existing conditions that we went through last year. We had 2 pop-up events in April and June where we kind of had a table and where other things were already kind of happening. Did this community survey in May and June. That included an interactive map, so some of you may have participated in that. But we did a survey of the business park, and we held 3 stakeholder focus groups. So we've already had a lot of public input, even though we haven't had, let's say, a singular large event like what we're going to have in April. So Thursday, April 11th is the date, 6 to 8 across the street. And we'll also, all the information that's presented there will then be put online so people who aren't able to make it to the meeting can then input through forms that would be available through the website. I would still strongly recommend that people go to the meeting if they're able to, because not only will they be able to interact with us, but with all of you, the steering committee, and with their neighbors. So I think people get a lot more out of it when they kind of hear what other people have to say and can kind of talk about it. But the next best thing would be to then access those materials online and fill out the questionnaires through that. And then from that, we will start to narrow down these options to a preferred concept, working with the steering committee, and then putting funding and implementation together with that, and back to this group as the village board next fall for adoption. So that's a real quick run through of over a year's worth of work. I know it's a really brief summary, but happy to answer any questions and can go backwards on this or talk about the document specifically, whatever you would like to do.
So, well, first off, Matt and I have talked about for years the idea of getting uniform fencing along corridors. And, you don't think much about it until you get off at Lake Cook Road. And, from 53, you start heading toward Buffalo Grove and you see that whole stretch with the same fencing. It really, the difference is night and day. Until you see it, you don't realize it. You're so used to saying, well, he's got a wood one, he's got a plastic one, he's got a cyclone. I mean, you see that, what a difference that makes. And we've got, from Biesterfield to Long Arlington Heights Road, we got some real corridors, a lot of fencing. I know that's expensive, but what a difference that makes alone by itself. I love you had the Bussy Road. My one daughter's in Elmhurst now, so I go there a lot, taking it down to get down to Elmhurst. And it looks so nice. No offense to our neighbors in Bensenville. They got trees, but just trees on grass with a little hill. What a difference you had those beds in and the logos, and it makes a huge difference, just your mindset. Now we get the same kind of lighting going down there and some of those improvements. It's night and day the difference it makes in your mindset and everything else. So you did a nice job. And, the nice thing you got on your housing, it necessarily may not be apartments, it might be condos. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of condos apartments, they can go back and forth depending on the need. And, found the same buffer in doing Arlington Heights Road and Higgins by putting the row homes, townhomes, between the existing homes and the other development. Makes a lot of sense. But the key to remind people that are watching this or when they come April 11th, these are concepts right now. Some of these concepts may be built for 10, 15 years. Some might be built, or at all. But it's nice to have these kind of mindsets. I loved of everything you worked on, I love what you did at the town center here. The corridor, doing that stuff that we can do now easily without changing things, but making a road, it's a nightmare sometimes driving in front of Planet Fitness, coming up on, Good Tequila, have an idea of a road that being like a lane and then feeding off. Some neat ideas that can be done. So I want to thank you. And we've worked out with Weber for years. You guys have done a lot. You see all your stuff from our first residential enhancement back in 2000. I mean, they still look good, a lot of those areas and stuff. Your ideas were well ahead of time. They still look good here. So appreciate that. So like I say, it's nice and it's invigorating to see that. It's going to come down to one, priorities and cost.
Right.
And money available. So see what happens. Trustees, questions, comments?
With the universal fencing, is that something that residents pay for, or is it something
The village would.
Oh, okay.
The village would.
I'm
Village
okay.
put them
I'm
in,
okay.
maintain them.
We've talked about that
That's good
in
to
the
say.
past.
Yeah. Because it makes, until you see the pictures, I can put them in, or I say, if you ever get a chance, go up on Lake Cook Road, get off 53, go toward Buffalo Grove, and it jumps out. You don't realize it till you see it.
Yeah.
And especially, that's a long stretch. And see that uniformity, what a difference. What a difference. So it's been done. Other communities have done it and stuff. And obviously, we have a lot to do. So, I mean, it'd be something we have to look at and invest. And you got to get the residents to buy into it also. But
They may want a different color fence.
yeah, most residents I know in other towns, they love it. You mean you're going to put a brand new fence in for me? You're going to maintain it and pay for it? Go ahead, knock yourself out. People like that. So it's something to think about.
I just have a
Go ahead.
comment that 24 years ago, when we were looking to move here, we looked at villages that what was important to them for a new resident coming in. And you could tell the towns that put a thought into it and that put care into their villages, and that's why we were drawn to Elk Grove, because you want new people coming in. And so as we look 20 years down the road, we want people to come here and say, wow, they really care about this community. So I appreciate the branding, the lighting, all of that, the enhancements. I think that's really important. So thank you.
I tell the story all the time about Brookman. The Brookmans, the aldermen in Des Plaines, get along great, Carl and them. And she always says, when we go underneath the tollway and into Elk Grove on Oakton there, she goes, we always say, wow, wow. Because we've done that branding with the work we did on the side of the tollways, with the improvements and stuff. People go in and they say, wow. And that's what you want. I mean, one area we're looking at, Matt and I were just talking about, those street lights we have. Can you go back to where the new street lights with there. We're actually looking, Matt's got some pricing, we're gonna be talking to the board more about it. We're redoing Arlington Road and Higgins. We're thinking about doing that whole corner with those lights on both sides, the Busty Wood side and residential, and our side, to get a look at what it looks like, to actually test it out, to get a feel before we make that big investment. I mean, we figured out it's about $300,000 just doing lights right there to do it. So we do Higgins Road from not quite to the Tech Park, and then do up to Arlington Road, and then do Arlington Road down before you get to Oakton. But test and see, because it's going to be unique there, because it's going to tie in the residential with the lights on the sidewalk side and the overhang for the street side. But it gives us a good chance to see what they look like, see how the appearance is, add a new development. And so we're going to be doing some testing of different things over time to be able to pick up on that. And, the idea of being able to put banners up on there, more than just on this corridor, other areas of the village. And remember, that's going to be our new entryway there. You remember, whether you come off 290 or come off 90, you all funnel on Arlington Road and Higgins, look down. And it's going to give us a chance, and we're going to be talking later about our properties that we bought, that we turned the buildings down. We got some new development looking to come. So it really can give us a chance to see how that is. Because, the old saying, curb appeal sells, and your first impression's the most important. Most homes are sold in the first 10 seconds when people pull up in front of it. That's when 90% of the homes are sold right there, their first impression before they walk in. And that's what you want in Elk Grove. You want that impression. You want to keep having a 1% vacancy rate. And how you do it is get in a town that people want to work in, live in, or own a business in. and that's what we got to work on. Other questions for them? You folks have done a phenomenal job.
Well, thank
We
you.
know with Gary Weber, we've got a good history with you folks. Done that. Madison, I go by a place, Madison all the time. I got a place up by Castle Rock Lake.
Oh, okay.
So I go by Madison all the time and stuff. So you folks do a nice job. And again, your work is being well established. We cannot emphasize people that are watching. Come April 11th if you can. You're going to get a chance to see this. And you're going to have people that want to hear your comments. They're going to be there. We're going to be there. We want to hear your views, your comments. Just like we did with the new shopping residential at Arlington Road Higgins, those open houses. We got ideas from people that we incorporated. We want to hear ideas on that. So if you get a chance, come by and see you then. And anything further?
No, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
been just a lot of fun working here and, listening to you talk. I mean, I won't name names, but working in other communities, they're like, nobody's building here, nobody's investing. I'm like, well, what have you done as a community? If you're not investing yourself, how do you expect other people to invest? And you guys are clearly leading the way, and it's paying off. Your low vacancy rate, both residential and commercial and industrial. I mean, you come into the town, you can feel it immediately that this is where things are happening. This is a community that cares about itself. This is a community that's investing in itself, and it's a safe place financially and otherwise for me to invest, and I want to invest here. So it's been a lot of fun working with a community that is so focused on that, really understands how to make it work, and excited to see where the plan goes from here and how it gets implemented. So pleasure meeting all of you, and look forward. I don't know if I will be at the open house or Jackie Mitch is really kind of our project manager. She had a conflict tonight, couldn't make it, so you get me. But if I don't see you then, I'll probably see you at a future board meeting and or another public meeting. So thanks again. And if you do have any questions that you think, oh, I should ask this, just get that to Maggie and she'll get it to us and we'll get you right back with a response. So
Appreciate
have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that concludes committee hall. We'll be going to village board meeting. Starts at 7. Folks, have a good evening. See you in a little bit. Okay, today is Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. I call the village board meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bush?
Here.
Trustee Frankie?
Here.
Trustee Jerish?
Here.
Trustee Miller?
Here.
Trustee Prochnow?
Here.
Trustee Schmidt?
Here. Okay, we do have everyone here tonight. We appreciate that. We now move on to the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. Tonight, the invocation is from Pastor Jonah of the Prince of Peace United Methodist Church. Pastor, you want to come on down? Everyone, please rise. The flag is to my right. Wait for Pastor to get set. Pledge first.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, I don't know, everyone stay standing. We got the invocation. Now, wait a minute. As you and I are getting closer and closer to the guy, we don't want to make mistakes. That's true. We want to be good on that. So, Pastor, please.
Please bow your heads and pray with me. Dear God, we invite you in your presence here tonight. We ask that you would guide us as we strive to lead with integrity, dignity, and respect. Please help us live into our name, Elk Grove Village, as we strive to continue to be an exceptional community. But also tonight, help us remember that you called the least among us exceptional when you said the first will be last and the last will be first. So help us make this community not only exceptional for us, but also for the least regarded in our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pastor, hang on. Please be seated.
No, you can't.
Thank you, my friend. How's everything going at the church?
It's going
You've
well.
been pastor, what, about a year now?
8 months.
8 months, so enjoying it?
Yeah, it's been great so far.
How's some of your parishioners? I understand some are tough to deal with.
No, I think they're all great. I love them all.
Just one I'm thinking of in particular, but that's okay. Well, I'm going to give you some extra tonight because you have to put up with some parishioners. So there you go. We thank you for everything, and thank you for being part of the community.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, take care.
You as
Thanks
well.
again. Okay, move on now to the approval of minutes of February 13th, 2024.
So moved.
What? You gotta make a motion, Chris.
Excuse me.
Sorry, daydreaming.
I'm all excited.
I move that we approve the minutes of February 13th, 2024 as presented and dispense with the reading.
We have a motion by trustee Prochnow. We have a second?
Second. Well, Kathy already said it.
She's had it first, so I have to go with trustee Bush. So trustee Bush, we've had a long day
I was
already.
gonna say, it's really going weird.
Yeah, we've
right
been
now.
here since 3:30, so a lot going on.
Okay.
And just so I say now, before we call the vote, or get the vote, we will be going back into Thunder. We will be going back into executive session when we leave here tonight. So just make sure that's on the record too. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, let the record show unanimous approval. We are moving on now, Mayor and Board of Trustees report. Not many items, but a few items. Back on February 15th, and Mr. Thomas Robb, I want to give you kudos. You did that article, we discussed my unhappiness with Commonwealth Edison. Remember? They read your article. And Mr. Matthew Rowan and I had a meeting with 5 ComEd representatives, and we went over the need for the power that we discussed in your article with the data centers coming and all that, and communication and getting things done, and I think it was very productive. Now, the proof will be in the pudding when we see what they deliver. So, but I'm serious, Tom, I want to thank you. To get ComEd to jump like that and have these 5 people show up, I appreciate it. So I hope it's going to go well. If not, we'll hold the feet to the fire and talk to Tom Robb again about another story. So we appreciate that. Also on February 22nd, we had business after hours at the our new building we own at 75 Turner, which is the old Elk Grove Bank and Trust building. And that was one of the biggest turnouts, they said, they've had in a long time. So it went very well. And we appreciate the opportunity to host the business after hours of the Elk Grove Chamber. Speaking of that location, the board, I think we're in agreement. We're going to try. Did we decide that tonight?
What?
The coffee of the board, the next one?
Yes.
You
Yep.
were going to consult with Public Works.
Yeah, we're going to work with Public Works, but our coffee of the boards are getting so popular now that, not like our board meetings sometimes, but popular now that we need more space. And we literally have no place in Elk Grove outside our chambers, and we don't want people bringing in the good Jerish Bakery goods and the coffee and drinks in here. So we're actually looking to move it to the 75 Turner over there, the old bank building. They got a big conference room on the second floor. There's stairs and elevator. So we're going to be looking at working Kobe with your guys to put that together. May need some chairs and tables over there. But we're going to want that to utilize that space for other meetings anyways. We're going to want some probably paint work and a little touch-up work on the upstairs there. We can talk about that. So we're going to get plenty of notice out to the residents to go over there, and we're looking to try that out for the coffee of the board. It's a village building. It'll give us a chance to utilize it. We're thinking about doing training there and other things on that. Next, Envision. We just had a committee of the whole meeting. We talked about our Envision plan. Remember, that's our long-term vision for the village. Doesn't mean it's going to be done exactly the way we talked or envisioning now, but it's concept ideas we're going to build upon. But on April 11th, it's a Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. across the street at the Garden Terrace at the Pavilion. It's an open house. Please come by, give your input, your ideas, your thoughts. Spring break should be over, so people should be around. If you can't come, it will be up online by then, and you can give us ideas offline. But it's always better, like we did with the shopping center development at Arlington Heights Road in Higgins. Always better if you can to come by in person and see what's going on. The Jawa pipe we keep talking about right now, nothing's happening. They're not sure how much they may have to do as they investigate more into it. So we'll keep you updated if and when that work's going to be done. One big thing here, I never realized how popular some of our doctors are in town. But Dr. Barry Glick and Dr. Rao, everyone's been talking about for a year now when they were redoing the Walgreens at Meacham and Biesterfield and the doctor's office on the side of it. You know, it's something new, something different. Well, that was Dr. Glick's and Dr. Rao's new office. They moved from our Election Brothers over there. Well, what's it called? American Medical, or I can't remember. Well, the master company that oversaw that, was doing it, is closing shop in Illinois. That fast. So people have been on Facebook. It's been a lot of places. And I want to just let everybody know that Dr. Glick and Rao will still be around after April 19th when they shut down. They only gave them 60 days notice. After 19th, they'll have a new address. They'll get the word out. But I had people coming to me at the fitness center on Monday. I had people call me over the weekend when they got word what's going on. So the two doctors are pretty popular, I guess, in town.
You find a good doctor, you don't let them.
Yeah. So hang in there. They're not leaving. They'll get to us the new address. We'll make sure let everybody know that they'll be going well. Next, today we did a TV interview with Channel 5. I'm sure there'll be more press coming up. Mr. Rob, did you get an announcement about the our submission, FAA? See, Mr. Rob got it. We submitted to the FAA our analysis of the Fly Quiet program. This was done with JDA. Dr. Traney, who we've talked about many times before. Dr. Traney is probably the most premier aviation expert in the world. He is hired by the FAA many times to do work on plans just like this. He's done the analysis now on the Fly Quiet rotation plans. Remember, there was one submitted, only one, by Chicago. The CDA submitted only B3, it's called. We wanted them to submit B3 and our plan of SOC, Suburban Air Commission, H3. They didn't, which makes you wonder if there's games being played. Well, if you remember last fall, we filed a lawsuit against the FAA. The FAA contacts us, Maggie, in less than 24 hours? Less than 24 hours, the FAA said, how can we resolve this? And all we said then, we're saying today, is follow NEPA law. That's a federal law they have to follow. Follow NEPA law, and we're happy. And NEPA law requires them to look at all reasonable alternatives. The one Chicago submitted, B3, is reasonable. The one we submitted, H3, is very reasonable. Follow that. Do an open public process. Allow public input. And let the best plan win. We're fine with that. Well, they didn't do that. But now the FAA said they will follow it. We submitted our plan today. And what Dr. Traney did, which is phenomenal, is he took all the actual data from O'Hare of all the flights from November of 22 to November of 23. Put it through the modeling. And guess what? What we said all along, H3 far surpasses B3, bar none. 50% more usage on the diagonals. Because remember, and I apologize, Jeff, but this is important to go through it all. Remember, the goal was at flight at nighttime to spread the impact around. Because we've always said, we all get the benefits of O'Hare. We all live with some of the detriments of O'Hare. It should be equally spread as much as possible. So we said a third of the flights should be used on the southern runways, a third of the flights on the northern runways, a third of flights on the diagonals, or they call crosswind runways. Well, unfortunately, B3 only uses about 16 to 18% diagonals, and the rest on the east, west, north, and south runways. B3, the one we're proposing, uses almost 28%. So, H3 uses almost 28%, almost 50% more use on diagonals, getting closer to that one-third, one-third, one-third. It is a better plan. We also put in headings. When they take off, do they go 90-degree turn, 100-degree turn? We put in headings. And the headings in H3 are far more fairly distributed. It follows equity justice, which is one of the areas that need to be addressed. Our plan meets all the goals set out by the ONCC and the CDA, Chicago Department of Aviation. So we're very optimistic when they go through the public process. Our plan will win. Unfortunately, we're hearing rumors they might want to still give it to CDA. If they don't follow the agreement we have, we'll go back to court because we dropped our lawsuit without prejudice, which means we can bring it up like that. And we will bring it up like that if FAA does not continue to follow what they promised. So we're going to give FAA the benefit of the doubt that they'll follow the process. If they do, we know we're going to be fine in the end, and everything will work out. So if anyone's got questions or concerns, always reach out to us. I'll be curious to see what some neighboring towns say in the newspaper articles coming up. But again, we have been straight and honest with everybody from the very beginning. Last thing before I do an introduction tonight, going good. This is a sad announcement tonight. As you see, we have our very handsome and debonair-looking attorney Don Strino here. We're going to be on behalf of Mr. Knickerbocker. But over the years, you saw sometimes, besides Mr. Knickerbocker, Mr. Strino, Mr. Bill Payne working here. Bill has been one of our assistant attorneys. Well, I've been here now 31 years, so Bill's been here for 31 years. He's an expert in real estate law, did all of our closings, and we have a lot of them. So he did a phenomenal job on that, and would fill in again when George was not able to make it. Unfortunately, Bill passed away yesterday, and he's definitely going to be missed by us, someone we knew well and cared about. And so I asked for everyone if they could bow and give a moment of reflection and appreciation for Bill. Bill, our prayers are with your family and to his wife Bonnie and all the kids. May God bless, and may you enjoy the fruits of heaven, which you deserve it very much so. Okay, with that said, tonight we have a special announcement. So, not that you're here, we all see that, so that's good.
Two special announcements. You were one.
He was one.
It's really big.
The debonair man.
Yeah.
Here's it. Mr. Dorn, you want to come on down?
Siren.
I don't know, after watching the board meeting tonight, Dave may want to change his mind, I hope not. So, as everyone knows, we had a police chief, Chuck Walsh, retired a number of months ago, and we went on a national search for replacement. I want to start off by first saying to Rich Michael, thank you. Rich has been our fire chief for 10, 12 years now? 12 years now, and he stepped forward to help us during that transition time. And think about it, going from a fire chief to police chief, it's a difference. But Rich did an absolute phenomenal job. I cannot thank you enough on behalf of this village for all you did. Nathan stepping up to be acting fire chief, I cannot thank you enough. You did a phenomenal job in the position. So we're very fortunate. We got a deep bench, and you folks really stepped up. I want to thank you again tonight for what you've done on behalf of Village. Well, after the long search, and I said we had people from Texas applying for it, and all around the area, over 30 applicants we had come forward. So one is Elk Grove. We should be very proud to have that kind of number of people willing to step forward, move to Elk Grove. One of the things you did know that, right? Okay, just want to make sure. The reason I say that is, believe it or not, the gentleman I'm going to introduce and his lovely wife sitting out there, they have 9 children between the ages of 5 and 20. So it's a big move for them. But they.
That is.
Tornado warning. Do we need to take any action? We probably should. Okay, we're going to adjourn the board meeting for a couple minutes as we move to safer quarters. The tornado warning sign's going off. So we'll be back in a minute. Gee, Dave. Wait, that was signed. Wait a minute. Did you go downstairs with us?
I did.
Oh, good. I was going to say, they were, you're right, they were
No, I
down.
was down there, yeah.
Jennifer, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Greg, we're on.
Oh, we're on? Okay. We're back from the tornado warning, and from what I understand, all of Elk Grove are still here, no problems. We're thankful for that. When I left, we were introducing our new police chief. Tonight, I'm proud to, like I said, we interviewed throughout the nation. We had an opening, went through a lot of good people. Dave will tell you, went through a lot of levels from our outside group interviewing, our inside staff group. We actually had our former Deputy Police Chief Larry Hammer was on the thing, and Steve Schulten, who was former, worked with the Elk Grove Park District Director at Bloomingdale and at the Arlington Heights Park District, and the head of our police commission. So we had a nice mix of people interviewed. Then the entire board, of course, met with and interviewed Dave, and it was, in all honesty, Dave, it was unanimous. From every group all the way through, you are their choice, and you are the board's choice. So I want to congratulate you on that. Matter of fact, let's do a piece of business. I need a motion to nominate to appoint Dave Dorn as our next police chief, effective April 1st.
So moved.
Second.
No, we.
Okay, I heard Schmitty, so Trustee Schmidt, a former police chief, made the motion, second by Trustee Frankie. Jen, can you call the roll?
Trustee Frankie?
Aye.
Trustee Jerish?
Aye.
Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Prochnow?
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt?
Aye.
Trustee Bush?
Aye. Okay, motion passes 6-0. So Dave, it's been official. I mentioned April 1st. Dave, this is David Dorn. He's the current police chief at Barrington. He started his career in the police field in Barrington, worked his way up through the ranks, been chief now almost 10 years? A little over 10 years there. Mayor Darch speaks nothing but highly of you and the work you've done with the department. High recommendation. I did talk to the mayor of Barrington on that, and I think we have a winner here. As I mentioned earlier, Dave's wife Jennifer is out there. They've got the 8 or 9 kids from 5 to 20, and I told Dave when I was interviewing, we're looking for a 9-bedroom house, Elk Grove. We'll see, work on it. But Dave will be moving to the community in the future, and we're excited about that. I mentioned April 1st. To show quality person Dave is from the very beginning, the deputy chief in Barrington's at the FBI Academy in Quantico, which a lot of chiefs or future chiefs go to. It's a great training facility and all that. And he won't be back to about mid-March. And Dave did not want to leave Barrington with no chief or deputy chief. And I commend him for that. That I speak highly, that he's got that loyalty to Barrington and all that. That means a lot. That meant a lot during his interview with me. So he'll be starting April 1st, which makes sense, gets through spring break. With 9 kids, you want to have time for spring break, so I understand that. So he'll start on April 1st, and we're excited about it. And he's coming, as I say, in Elk Grove, we all back our Blue 1,000,000%. They do a phenomenal job. We got a great department, CALIA certified. It's the best. They never let us down. And recently I had a family situation. The police once again didn't let me down. They do an unbelievable job. So, Dave, you come to a great town. I welcome you. And this will be your first chance to introduce, talk about your wife, your family, and looking forward to talking to you in Elk Grove. So the mic's yours.
Thank you.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for your trust. And I'm honored to be here before you. And as the mayor said, it was a great process, and it became very clear to me going through the process that everybody involved that I interviewed with, or every step of the way, that you truly care for your village. And it was really, really neat to see and really great to see. And that's truly a village that I am coming from, and that's truly a village that I want to be a part of. So I am flattered and honored to be here, and I appreciate your trust in me, and we look forward to many years here. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you go, Jennifer, one thing we do, it's a tradition here in Elk Grove, we hand out chocolates, and they got the village logo on them. And because I had bypass surgery 10 years ago, it's almost exactly 10 years ago. See, I proved to people the mayor does have a heart. That's why I had the surgery. But it's got the logo. It's dark chocolate, so my doctor says it's healthy. So I'm going to give Dave a bunch of these. God, with 9 kids, I got to give a lot of bunches. So here we go. There you go, my friend. So enjoy them. We look forward to it. you're coming to a great town. Trust me, Elk Grove's a phenomenal community. You're going to love raising your kids here. You know, I was born and raised here. My 4 kids born and raised here. My grandkids all being born and raised here. You're not going to find a better town than Elk Grove. So we welcome you. We thank you. We know it's a dedication. Allow him to do his job. We appreciate it. So it's harder on you than it is on him. So we thank you for coming to Elk Grove too. So thank you. Dave, thanks again. So not too bad, Mr. Frankie?
Actually, you had a tornado in the middle of your report, so I don't know.
And I still got done quickly.
Yeah.
Now, just so you know, to be on the up and up with the board and community, we did our executive session. Remember I said we had to go back to executive session. We did that down in the basement in the fire gun range, in the gun range. So, luckily Mr. Frankie missed, otherwise some of us wouldn't be here.
I have a bad spot.
So anyways, so we won't go back for executive session after the board meeting. With that said, we move on to trustees report. Why don't we start with trustee Prochnow?
Wow.
He does that all the time.
This morning, all 6 of the board members had the opportunity to go to the Hattendorf Center and meet with the senior citizens over there and talk about what's going on in Elk Grove Village. And I'm sure each of them will discuss some aspect of our visit, but it was a very enjoyable experience. And secondly, I'd like to remind everybody we still have the Winter Farmers Market going on the 1st and 3rd Saturdays of the month. That will be this Saturday, March 2nd. From 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Christus Victor Church across from the movie theater. And come by and enjoy some of their products. And probably another month or so, we'll be talking about the spring farmers market. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Trustee Bush.
So thank you to the Elk Grove Park District as well as Chief Michael, who are hosting some Elk Grove High School leadership students in different career fields. We have some students coming out next week to go through the forensics lab, as well as with Sue Dees to talk about business. So thank you very much for those opportunities for the students and building greater community. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I want to go to Trustee Schmidt.
Yes, as you mentioned, Mayor, attended the GOA business after hours last week and also attended the senior meeting today and had a great time at both. So good time, especially with the seniors. Asked a lot of good questions. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Why don't we go to Trustee Miller?
Thank you. At the senior meeting this morning, I was asked after we got done how one of the seniors wanted to get involved. And she had recently retired. She was new to the area, moved in, and she said, how do I get involved? And in our newsletter, it talks about the CERT program. So I said, you're welcome to investigate that, research that. I also invited her to come to a Community Character Coalition meeting. I told her about Rotary. I told her about Lions. I told her about the food pantry. There's various ways that if you want to get involved, there's many ways to get involved. And I just wanted to say congratulations to our police department for receiving a certificate of appreciation for roadway safety and enforcement from IDOT. So congrats to the police department. Chief? And that concludes my report.
Thank you. We'll move on to Trustee Cherish.
I attended also the GOA and the senior luncheon or meeting this morning and found both interesting and enlightening. I also participated at PADS a couple weeks ago. My husband and I did PADS continues on Sunday nights at Christus Victor. They are steadily seeing 20 participants or so each week and have good volunteer representation from the village. That concludes my report.
And last but not least, Jeffrey Charles Frankie.
I just want to bring up, we had a meeting. I'm on the board with the Meet Chicago Northwest Convention Bureau for the Northwest Suburbs, representing the village. We had a meeting about 10 days ago, our quarterly meeting. But I just want to bring up the program that's happening starting on March 1st through the 10th. It's the Restaurant Week, which is in the whole Northwest Suburbs, but a lot of Elk Grove restaurants. If you go online and check out Meet Chicago Northwest, you can find all these different restaurants, and I mean almost every restaurant in the area is part of this. they're going to have special meals that you can buy at a set price. They'll give you an appetizer, a salad, the entree, and a dessert, and they're great prices compared to, I'm talking steakhouses, Italian restaurants, everything. A bunch of Elk Grove restaurants are on there. So if you want to try some different restaurants, and this is the time to do it. So they're really looking forward to a lot of people coming out and trying their different foods. So look it up online. It goes from March 1st to the 10th, but I recommend you try it. It's good deals.
Good.
That's
Mayor
all I have.
Johnson, could I just add
Trustee
one more
Prochnow?
thing? We would be remiss if we didn't thank Helen Lesky for putting together the program at the Senior Center this morning. She does a wonderful job organizing and running these meetings, and we appreciate the time and effort that she put into doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we move on now to the accounts payable warrant for February 27th, 2024. This is Mr. Storino's pay for tonight. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the accounts payable warrant for February 27th, 2024 in the amount of $690,000, $690,568.45.
We have a motion by trustee Prochnow, a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Bush. Now, just so you know, we're talking about the 45 cents at the end of that amount. For the lawyer. Yeah, for the lawyer. Yeah, not the whole thing. No, the 45 cents. Yeah.
Something else.
So we have a motion and a second. Jen, can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Frankie?
Aye.
Trustee Jerish?
Aye.
Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Prochnow?
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt?
Aye.
Trustee Bush?
Aye.
I know the motion passed 6-0. I know as Mr. Dorn out there is glad I didn't say the police chief's pay was 45 cents. Then I would have saw Mrs. Dorn grab her.
You already paid him in chocolates. I thought that was he's done, right?
Yeah, close enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Move on to consent agenda. Tonight we have consent agenda items A as in Albuquerque through N as in Nanu. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Frankie, second by trustee Miller. Anybody in the audience wish to address us on the consent agenda items only now? Seeing none, hearing none, and without objection, record the votes previously demonstrated, 6-0. We now move on. There's no items of regular agenda. Mr. Rowan, anything on the Plan Commission or Zoning Board?
Nothing under Plan Commission and nothing under Zoning Board of Appeals.
Very good. Recycling Waste Committee, trustee Frankie.
Yes, I was asked a question today at the Senior Center about our next paper document destruction. And I just, even though it's in June, I just want to bring it up. Document and electronic recycling will happen on June 1st from 9 to 12 at the James Paul Petrie Public Works. Wow, I never said it all together like that. But that'll be June 1st. So if you're watching, that's the next recycling. That's the only one we do for the year, but it's a big one. That's all I have.
Thank you. Judiciary Planning Zoning Committee, trustee Prochnow.
No report.
Capital Improvements Committee, trustee Schmidt.
Tonight on the consent agenda on item number M, we approved the street program for 2024. So information on what streets are going to be repaved will be on our website in a few days, and it'll also be an upcoming issue of the Villager. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Cable Television Committee, trustee Jerish.
Cable television has uploaded 6 years already worth of board meetings, and they are available for viewing. They will not be loading up everything from the past, so if you have a special event that you could think of that you'd like uploaded for on demand, they will reach out to them and they'll do that. Also, I want to ask the board and the audience, how many of you have the Cablecast app on your telephone?
How do I?
Oh, I do.
Do you?
Oh, I got it on my phone, yes. Oh, yes.
So you now can download Cablecast app and stream Elk Grove TV on your phone. It's so cool. And I just want to point out there's so many great episodes, but the On Duty with the fire department and the ice and water training is awesome. So good work. That concludes my report.
Can I just add something on
Trustee
that?
Frankie?
This week I interviewed Ross Rowe, the director of Channel 6 or UGTV, and in the Grove, he's got a iPad out to show people how to get that app.
Good.
And all the different ways that people can watch the board meetings or Elk Grove on demand. So
Yeah,
if you watch In the Grove in the coming month, you'll get, and it'll show you how to do it.
And if you're savvy with, I downloaded it on my television through Roku too.
Yeah. And he explains all that. It's
yeah.
a new application with Roku too, so people had it. They have to
if
go
you
to
don't
the
have cable, you can still watch.
Yeah, many ways to see us.
Okay, thank you. Youth Committee, Trustee Bush.
Scholarships are out on the village website, due some in the middle of March, some in the middle of April. And I was on an episode of Channel 6 in 1985 talking about roller coasters. So hopefully they upload that. That's a big deal.
1985?
I was at a day camp at Claremont School in 3rd grade.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We wish we were that young. I know.
It's a favorite episode. They actually gave me the clip.
The year I was
We'll watch it
married.
someday. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Information Committee, Trustee Miller.
Thank you. Speaking of viewing social media platforms, our viewership for social media platforms has doubled in 1 year. So people that are looking at our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So it went in 1 year. Yeah.
That's since Kathy and I joined.
Sure.
That must be it.
Our summer internships and seasonal positions, please look on the village website if you are interested or if you know somebody that is looking for a way to earn some extra money. That would be really important right now because we are hiring for those positions. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Business Leaders Forum, Trustee Schmidt.
No report.
Health and Community Services, Trustee Prochnow.
No report.
Personnel Committee, Trustee Schmidt.
No report.
Airport update, we already went through tonight. I want to commend again Maggie. Matt, she's done an absolute phenomenal job, and I thank you for all the work. And this is a big day for us. Thank you. Parade Committee, our next meeting is actually Monday. So we have a Parade Committee meeting at 6 o'clock on Monday. Hopefully get a little more information. We're still waiting. Anyone knows anybody at Conan High School? We're still waiting for Conan's band. We got the Elk Grove High School band. So hopefully we can get Conan's band to come there. Mr. Storino, it's time for our Midsummer Classic Concert Series update. I'm not going to hold you to that this time. Do you remember, you think?
Well, I know the Four Tops are coming.
Okay, very good. What about the 4th of July? We said we have the iconic band on the iconic day. The perfect band, if you could ever pick a band.
Good Vibrations.
No.
No, that's their song.
Okay, when you swim out of the ocean, you walk on the
Beach Boys are
coming?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You did tell me the Beach Boys.
Okay,
I
so
kind of remember them.
No,
too.
you did good. You got the Beach Boys for
I feel like I'm
Fourth
on
July.
charades.
Yep. No. Then we have Martina McBride.
Well, I could have worked that.
Country singer.
Not the groom, but the
Okay,
Mick.
now, the third concert, which is part of Rotary Fest,
Oh, you won't get that.
you will never get this, because to this day, you could offer me $1 million. I don't know one of their songs, but for the younger people, they're going to be in heaven. It is
The neon trees.
Neon Trees.
I
Now,
know
the
them.
fourth, you love them, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
The fourth one is the one you remember, the fourth concert.
Oh,
The Four Tops. Yep. See, four tops.
I got it.
Worked out good. And the fifth one is the original lead singer of Poison.
Oh, forget it.
The skull and crossbones.
You won't remember that.
No.
Who wants to help him?
Brett Michaels.
Brett Michaels. You don't know. Yeah, I know.
thought
George
it was
same
a
way.
roller
George
coaster.
same way. He doesn't know either. But he did. George did say he went to a Martina McBride concert.
Did he?
So yes, he does know that. So again, our concert's coming up.
I'm going to get better by March.
Yeah, I know you will.
I am.
Beach Boys for the 4th of July. Think about that. What
That's
more
good.
iconic? 4th of July, fireworks, Beach Boys. Then again, second one, Martina McBride. Third one, Neon Trees. Four Tops, and finish up with the Brett Michaels. So great summer coming up. We're looking forward to it. Liquor Commission, no report. Special Events Committee will be Trustee Prochnow's
Memorial Day.
indoors, so rain or shine, hot or
Indoors
cold.
guaranteed.
Tornadoes coming, we're all safe. So we're good. Report from Village Manager, Mr. Rowan.
No report.
No. Nice having that safe garage for us to go to, though. That worked out very well. We thought there was hot air in this room.
Yeah.
We avoided the other hot
And
air coming.
special thanks to our officers for directing us.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
Taking
Told you,
care
we
of us.
backed the blue with 1,000,000% in Elk Grove.
Yeah, thank you.
Report from Village Clerk. She does have one.
Early voting begins here at Village Hall on Monday, March 4th through Monday, March 18th. Monday through Saturday, it's 9 to 5, and on Sunday, it's 10 to 4.
Okay, so we're very proud to have that. It makes it very convenient, very easily. And isn't it much easier this year than last March being out there? Tammy?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Steve? Remember we sitting out cold and snowing?
It was so cold.
Sitting there. But you know what? That's where we came up with some ideas, though.
Yeah, we did.
With our police and all that. Okay, let's check out Mr. Strano. Yep, as usual, there's no unfinished business there. We now move on to new business. Trustees, any new business items tonight? If not, how many people in the audience? Anybody in the audience wish to address us tonight? Any topics, any issues? Tom, how's things going? Good? Good. Again, oh, the other thing I was going to give you a compliment on. I showed the board tonight your business journal paper.
You did.
What do we think?
Very nice.
Nice
Very
job.
nice.
I'm serious, Tom.
Very
Nice job.
professional.
That picture on the front of our new nighttime, the crossover there at Higgins Argentine Road,
Yeah.
very nice. And you
And,
we like our new ad picture.
The
You know, the
water
water tower. The one thing we want to ask is, we want to change it. We're going to get Manager Roan, we're going to get a helicopter, put him on top of it. And he's going to be sitting up there like this. Can we change out that picture if we need to?
Yeah, if you're gonna do that with them, yeah.
Good. Will you take the picture? Absolutely, yeah. Okay, he'll be up there. Okay, good. So we're set to go. Anything further from anybody? I'm glad everyone's safe after the storm tide. In 31 years of being a trustee or a mayor, first time we ever had to leave for a tornado warning.
Yep.
Right, Schmitty?
Yep,
I don't
first
remember
time.
you to do that.
No.
No. So you guys did a good job. Thank you to the fire department.
Stop you from holding a meeting.
No, I was afraid
God
someone's doing that, stop us from introducing Mr. Dord. Yeah. So, I don't know, it was a sign from God, I was nervous, but luckily, he saved us to come back. So, with that said, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Miller, second by trustee Jerish. Before we adjourn, Dave, does Karen run meetings like we do? You haven't seen anything yet, trust me. We've had some whopper meetings. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Jen, can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Prochnow?
Aye.
Trustee Schmidt?
Aye.
Trustee Bush?
Aye.
Trustee Frankie?
Aye.
Trustee Jerish?
Aye.
Motion adjourned, passes 6-0. Folks, have a good evening. Meeting adjourned.
Davey knows a thing or two about getting results.